Well, Brad teased us a bit. He mentioned the word cool down, so here we are, Brad.
You know, sometimes we get these heat waves and you say, oh, it's only the beginning of August. Well, this is actually kind of rare. We actually have a pretty significant cool down heading our way as we go into August. We're kind of over the hump, though, of the worst heat typically of the summer. But as you know, around the Carolinas, August, September can still be pretty steamy. We've got a cold front up to the north. This cold front produced some big time storms last night in the Midwest, and those outflow boundaries, which is basically the leftover boundaries or kind of mini cool fronts from those storms, could be an issue for us tomorrow as we heat up in the afternoon. You see that cooler air lurking to the northeast and up into eastern Canada. A little piece of that's going to be coming down. You may have noticed the hazy skies today. Well, some of it was humidity, but a lot of it was wildfire smoke, and that front's actually going to push a big surge of it in early on Saturday. So the front is going to clear things out a little bit, but ahead of it, kind of like a snowplow, it's going to be pushing some of that smoke as it moves in from the north. So we could see some really hazy skies on Saturday, but we've got another day of really intense heat. Heat advisories up for Stanley, Anson, Richmond counties. We could see Chesterfield, Lancaster, even Union County added to this. I think a few counties could be expanded tomorrow because it'll be the worst of the heat wave. 103 for a heat index possible tomorrow. The air temperature around 97, but you notice the cooling trend, and I know it's still 90s, but it's heading in the right direction. By next week, we're in the 80s, which is going to be significantly cooler. Now, that severe weather risk tonight is along that old front to the north, but tomorrow, a little boundary will come down here, and there might be just enough lift that we could see a pop-up storm or two that could be severe. I don't think it'll be widespread, but anytime you get intense heating this time of year, you got to watch these isolated storms. They can pulse up and put down a downburst pretty quickly, so we'll keep an eye on that. But the main front doesn't get here until this weekend. That's the front that cools us down. So when you look at the flash flood risk, really not much of one the next couple of days. We'll keep an eye on that risk, though, as we go through the weekend. I think the biggest issue will be damaging winds and lightning with any pop-up storms that develop over the next couple of days. The dew points, they take a little bit of a break. Still super muggy tomorrow, and that's why that heat index is so high. But 60s, it's not that bad, but 61 will feel really good on Monday compared to the 70-degree dew points we had recently. Why the break from the heat? Well, the jet stream. We're going to get a little dip here. We're not going to have a monster ridge on top of us. So early next week, we see cooler weather, and it sticks around most of next week. But with that dip in the jet stream is going to come the chance of rain. So we are going to see cooler than average temperatures, probably in the mid 80s, but we're going to see a better chance of afternoon storms. Tomorrow, last day of the really hot stuff, low to mid 80s in the mountains, mid to upper 90s across the foothills, upper 90s with feel-like readings again approaching 100 to 105. Let's look at the 7-day forecast first. That looks good. Cooler weather next week. As we extend this out to 10 days, you can see those temperatures staying in the mid 80s, so a little bit below average. That's going to be a nice break from the heat we had this week.
Looking forward to that.
Average sounds good.
Yes.
Thank you, Brad.